All right, my doggies. Good morning at 6:32. It is June 4th. It is Wednesday. I hope everyone's feeling well. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, founder of Red Dog Mindset. I hope everyone is having a decent week. You know, we came in on Monday. Futures were down like, 25 handles. Market absorbed it. Yesterday came in, the futures were down 20 handles. Market absorbed it and then took out 595. And now we're trying to see, does the market have enough power to hold and build, right? So if you take a close look here at this range, right, we're in a little 2-week range, you know, where market had a big move, you know, above the 821 day. I think we did pretty well. Lots of stocks participated. Then all of a sudden, you know, we're talking about, could we hold in here? Well, 583 held, then 586 held on Monday. Yesterday we held higher. We took out 593, 595 to hit 597.08. So now the question is, you know, I'd like to see us hold 595, and we'll see if we could build. You know, there was some news out there that Trump said the China deal is tough, but you look at China, China was up. I think the DAX is up 0.90. So basically the market's not really paying attention to the banter. So the question is, you know, will there be enough power for the S&P to just kind of grind its way back towards the highs of 613 or 611? That was the high of the year. So there's really not much going on here. So if it wants to, it can. You know I became focused on the IWM again. We talked about, I was in spaces with a bunch of the guys. I'm on this new crew on Monday at 3 o'clock where we were talking about how the IWM could finally outperform. So yeah, you know, so I bought some IWM calls. I'm in some IWM, and so far so good. You know, if you take a really close look here, like a really close look, you know, it's kind of got to this 210 area multiple times. Look at how many times this 200-day has been resistance. So yesterday was kind of good getting ahead of it. You know, sometimes you had a red dog reversal at 204, you know, so I was buying the 209s for $1. I was selling a lot of them for $2 yesterday, and then I even put some 210s on. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, could it get above 210 with authority? If so, you take a step back, and there's really not much to 214. So if it wants to, you know, if it wants to participate, and this is without even the TLTs going up, without rates coming in, you know, the TLT, I mean, the IWM wants lower rates, and we're not getting them yet. But at this point, so far, you know, it's taken out this downtrend, or trying to. So I would think if you could really get a decisive move here, you know, the target would be closer to 214, which would be the low from January, and still be nowhere. All this is a trade, you know, a nice setup that you could put it on and take it off and make some money. That's what we try and do as traders. We put on nice setups to, you know, it's failed here many times. At some point, so they'll catch some of these shorts off guard, but we'll see. XBI also, you know, as bad as it's been for years, some guys made some decent money, you know, buying verse 76 or 78, and now it looks like it's on its way to the 100-day. It's not even at the 200-day. So, and then there's been a lot of individual names. So there's been a lot of things to do off the beaten path. You know, the mega cap tech names haven't been great. They've been fine. Really, the story's been this CoreWeave. Wow, what a move. You know, I remember when it was trading here, and I listed it at 47 at 64, and look at that move. This was, you know, buy number one, buy number two, and then all of a sudden had a big move up to 30, came in, held the 8-day, which is something we talk about all the time. Can strong stocks with momentum hold the 8-day? And then boom, look at that move. Went as high as what yesterday? 150.85. Holy cow. Anyway, there's a lot of talk about how this is turning into a pain trade. A lot of talk about how some traders that got short around here on this red dog reversal didn't see it rebuild, and they've been shorting it since, and they're blowing up. You know, it's one thing to take a loss. It's another thing to blow up, and I hate when I see traders blow up, you know, that just have some kind of stubbornness. I don't know. This is a great momentum trade. You know, I like to play things from the upside, so I don't see why people just have short in the brain there. But anyway, kind of reminds me of SMCI from a year or two ago, where, SMCI, I think, went to 400, and there was so much money to be made in there. Long, short, selling options, this, that, as long as you have your rules, At this point, it's at 154, a little bit above. So some people, if you went out long, trim some. It cleared 130.76. There you go. If you're looking to be short, you better be fast. There are some guys that made money short here when it got above 125, went to 130 and failed to hold it. So do the same strategy there. For me, I've been hyper focused on Nvidia, and if you remember, we were talking on Monday. I was buying Nvidia pre-market. Okay, I thought maybe they got the fast money out of the trade, which they did. It wound up being a decent option play. Not great. I had a call spread for earnings, and it was like 40% or so. That's not really what you want on an option play. But anyway, came in, held this prior move, and then it was a nice trade. I bought Monday, bought more yesterday. Nvidia right now is up $1. I've already trimmed a little bit. I always trim when it gaps in my favor. It's at 142.19. What would be interesting and awesome is if it could take out this 143.50. I have some leftover calls I put on post earnings for this Friday. Those would come back to life. I bought some 143s, and if it could get above this spot, there's really nothing back up to this area. So, Nvidia has been a decent driving force, and I know we put it on as a power play also. So, it's good to be able to make money lots of different ways, trading the stock in some options, a pre-earnings move. That's why we approach these things multiple ways. What was yesterday's high? Yesterday's high was 142. I don't know if it's going to have the power to clear and hold 142 and then take out 143.49, but we'll see. It's only Wednesday. If you go here, like people like, how do we follow your trades, Red Dog? Well, listen, this is my virtual trading floor. This is the alpha team. These are the guys I trade with all day long. So what they see is they see things flash. I came in with Nvidia. I've been long Nvidia from Monday pre-market with you guys at the 630 Club, and they see a flashed red. That means I trim some, but I'm still in it because it's still green. So, it's a way for people to track what I'm doing, and also reading my 40 charts with different thoughts on there. Anyway, so I'm pretty spread out. I have a little bit of Dash on, a little bit of Amazon. That's kind of not great. Silver, I think it's percolating a little bit. IWMs, I also trimmed a little bit. It'll say sell, but obviously, I trim when it gaps in my favor. If it could hold here and TLTs go up and rates come in, hey, I might even be buying more through 210. But when it's up 60 cents, I like to trim and trail net money because that's what we do as traders, especially if you need to make money for a living. So anyway, we'll see what happens there. As far as some of the other names, we'll see. Amazon's been a pain in the ass. Tried to get above 208 yesterday, couldn't hold it. I think yesterday just wasn't a mega cap day. It was more of a small cap, bio, bank, semiconductor day. I do have 143s. Well, hopefully that could pay off. I have leftover ones. I have IWM 210s on. I have IWM, I think 209s on. Where are those? And then Jobby was a good trade yesterday. I bought the dip in IBIT. Anyway, so trying to just manage my positions, make money, and be smart. Be smart. Anyway, what kind of setups we have? Palantir, I'm not in right now. It still looks good. I've been telling you guys, Dash, buy every dip in Dash. This looks like it's on its way to 220 plus. I have some options left. I have some stock left. I showed you guys the weekly chart of Dash the other day. Like Dash on the weekly chart, look at this cup and handle pattern. Like you should be staying with this stock for the rest of the year. 225 to 250. Why can't it see that void? Not a lot of companies came public, and this has a lot of institutional support, something to stay with and manage the sequence. But anyway, it's up to you. It's not Apple time. I'll tell you that much. Apple has been kind of just crappy. It's just in this area. Maybe there's a little bit of a push. I think it was downgraded today. What's Apple doing this morning? Apple is down $1.33. Just sometimes some of these names are great, and sometimes it just, they just rebuild and, invest in Apple. Don't trade it. Well, that's one of those times. Tesla right now is even tough too. Tesla, between the banter between, Elon leaving and then the bill and then this and that. Like, I haven't traded Tesla in 2 days, this whole week, because there's like easier things out there. And it's just after a move like we saw, this was a great spot to buy Tesla. This was an awesome spot. And then I think I was done with it right into this little topping tail. And it's been pretty noisy since. So anyway, let me see what some of my dogs are saying around the world. So in my comment section, I can come over here and I could take a look and we can interact and I can answer some questions. I like the kaleidoscope. People are like, Red Dog, you're such an old dog. Get the kaleidoscope off. Anyway, so people are talking, from YouTube. I think you could watch the 630 Club on YouTube. You could watch it on Twitter. At some point, though, come September, it's going to be on my Discord. And, if you want to subscribe, that's what that button is. It's been for free since 2020. Some things are going to be shaken up a little bit. But anyway, that's another time and place. CrowdStrike is down. Yes, it is. I don't have that. People are like, Red Dog, let's take CrowdStrike into earnings. I'm like, I'm taking a lot less earnings plays with options because they just don't work. They juice the premium up. You have to be perfect. And anyway, so for me, I just didn't take it. Thank goodness I saved myself 10 grand. Tesla reversed yesterday. It did because the banter, I think, between him and Trump. Now they think that the administration is gonna go against Elon after all the hard work he just did with Doge. Elon's pissed because he just cut trillions out, and now the bill has so much pork in it that it could stuff a friggin' hog. But anyway, we won't talk politics. So yes, this is a high and this is a lower high. And what's Tesla doing this morning? Tesla is it is up $2. It's doing a whole lot of nothing. So let me see what else. Okay, so MU woke up according to Surf Freedom. Yes, it did. People were trying to get me an MU and I just didn't do it. MU, yeah, you could say cleared a nice level here. MU looks pretty good. Yeah, still just working its way back up, and now it's probably got some room to 112-ish. So yeah, the MU is working very well. Again, you don't have to be in every semi to make money. You just need to be in a few. I've been more focused on Nvidia, but that looks good. Am I still long ASTS? I am. I actually added to ASTS yesterday. It's been a pain though. It's been in this damn channel for a long time. Maybe if the small caps really get going, this will get better. It just got back above the moving averages. It needs to have some kind of news. It just did another ATM. So perhaps it can't be the only stock you trade, because there's not enough movement there. But I did buy some, and I've lost some money in options trying to play a breakup, but I'm staying with it because at some point it's going to wake up and get into this zone whenever that is. So just it's more of a longer term thing until you really see some big volume. Soxa looks good. Yes, semis look good. Look at this. This SMH looks like it's ready to take out this 249. It held in here, cleared the 8-day moving average, which is whenever I say we're above the 8-day, it's strong, and looks like the semis. If Nvidia could get above and stay above this area, this what was it, the 142, 143 area, you're going to see another move here. We got to get Avago to come out with numbers. Right now it's going to be a little tricky because Avago is like. Look at this 8-day moving average. All you have to do is program an algo to buy the Avago every day at the 8-day moving average, and you could, you could be having Bloody Marys on the beach. Anyway, with that being said, whatever. NVTS, it's a little guy. Some guys are playing it still. It held where it had to. Held this gap, digesting. Definitely something that you could. I wouldn't say just hyper focus on, but if you have multiple positions, it held the gap. It's been, it's kind of been re-going, and yeah, that looks pretty good. WRD is a pain in the ass, but I'm still in it. It didn't stop me out. Some point maybe it gets going. I've been buying this thing though since like $8. So I've been buying it, selling it, and staying with it. It's just someone's holding it back. At some point, this is going to be a big day up, and they're going to squeeze the hell out of the shorts. I just don't know when that is. So we'll see. What up, Jim Nelson? Need a link to subscribe to Discord on YouTube? Not right now. All you have to do is subscribe to Red Dog Mindset, and you'll be grandfathered into the fall when we take the what's it called? It's only $10 a month. $10 a month for 20 minutes, and typically people make a lot of money watching the 630 Club. But anyway, what else we have? Meta. Meta was a pain in the butt yesterday, but it's fine. After the size of the move, all it did is give you like an inside day. Plus, it gave you a red to green move. I would stay watching Meta. Amazon was a pain in the butt, but again, still building, still going sideways. I think at some point it's going to take this 208 area out and get back to 215. You just can't pay up. We're momentum traders. I get it. I love to buy high and sell higher. It just hasn't really happened. AMD thinking it's building a business around that AI. Yeah, AMD is a little bit better. I played it yesterday. AMD cleared the spot. Again, you got to pick and choose where you want to fight your battles. And right now, after a long descending channel, you had to move up to the 200-day, came in, and AMD looks a little bit better. What's AMD doing this morning? A little bit of follow through. That's all you could ask for. Trim and trail. Joseph Angelo says, I love cruise lines. They're like canaries in the mine. So let's see. Let's look at, I play what, Carnival Cruise? All right. You have a gap up just like everything else. You could be long versus out. Yeah, it's working its way higher. The economy, I guess, is that good. The moving cities. What's RCL doing? Listen, there's a bull market somewhere. I'm not playing the cruise lines, but look at that trend above the 820 one day. There you go. AI. You know what? I think it's better. So what happened? So we were accumulating AI calls for earnings. AI had great earnings. We bought them at $1. This was one of the earnings plays that worked this season. It was probably the best one. Sold from $1 all the way up to $5. Then it came in, didn't play it. I started buying a little bit on this day. Finally, now you have a real point of reference to trade against. So AI this low here is what, 24.71. So if AI is any good, it should not break that. So I'm long some stock. I have some options that probably aren't going to work. You would think after the way it reacted on numbers, it can get better, especially if the IWM gets better. So getting above and staying above 26.10 would help. It's not a hyper focus, but it's a position. As you can see, I have a bunch of position as the markets are trying to trend higher. So I want to let the market make me money besides massaging them. Anyway, so this is decent. Kind of like Unity. A lot of guys have made some really good money with Unity on this day, bought the dip, and now it's getting tight again. So anyway, happened. Google is tough right now. Yeah, I haven't been in Google since I made a lot of money in options. Actually, I was in Google. It had that AI day. They sold it. I was buying options that entire day. The next day, it took off. I made a lot of money, and then I lost a little bit, and I haven't got back to it since. That was here. Look at this topping tail. Look at this red dog reversal into a lower high. I just kind of got away from it. It's tough. There's easier things out there. Sometimes these different mega cap names trade well, and sometimes they're just a pain in the ass. And right now, Google's a pain in the ass. So guess what? You don't have to play it. You don't have to play it until it really rewards you and gets into an active sequence. A TLT, I really wouldn't want to see the TLTs get much below 84.79. When the TLTs were making new threshold lows and rates were going up, the market cared a lot. Market doesn't care as much now. It's kind of, here's your low. It's kind of just in this range, so it's not a hyper focus. If the TLTs started to get below here and work its way back to 83.76, it would be hard for the IWM to continue to act well. If all of a sudden the TLTs kind of work higher and rates work lower, then I would think it might be a little bit easier for the IWMs to get through 210 to get to 214. But when it's kind of doing nothing, right now, like the TLTs are up 22 cents, so the computers don't care. IBIT, I'm still in it. It's not a hyper focus. I did sell into new highs when Bitcoin was at 111. I got rid of a lot of my IBIT, but I've been sticking with it as a swing trade. I've been in it since it cleared the downtrend. I bought a little bit, sold a little bit. It's working a little bit. Ethereum is interesting. A lot of guys think Ethereum is going to be where the alpha is in the next month. So if Bitcoin could work its way back above 110 or more, I do think Ethereum takes out this 2276. There are a lot of companies that need to put crypto on their balance sheet now, and the only things they're really going with is Bitcoin, and they agreed to go with Ethereum, and Ethereum has lagged a lot. So I just think, it's something, if you needed two vehicles in crypto, IBIT and maybe this ETHE, just throwing it out there. And with that being said, at 6:51, I appreciate you. Listen, I don't really want to talk about it, but my schedule might be a little bit off. So if all of a sudden you're trying to tune into the 6:30 club and I'm not here, so a lot of you guys know my mom's been not feeling well, battling cancer, and cancer sucks for 3 years and things are not going well. So Next week might be one of those weeks where I'm touch and go. But it's Wednesday. I don't go back to Florida till Saturday, so we'll be here for the rest of the week. And just give your mom and dad a text if they're alive, because when shit goes wrong and you haven't been a great family member, or you have shit going on that that you don't have cleared up, the last thing you want to do is not have the time to clear things up. But anyway, with anyone, with friends, family, don't sweat the small things. And if you feel like you need to say something to someone, you better do it before it's too late. All right, guys, have a great day.